to the Marshall Street podcast.
Yes, with a very special guest today, Blush'ko.
How you doing, gents?
How are
Very
we?
well, my man. How are you going?
Fantastic, thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
No, man.
Welcome
Firstly,
in.
thank you very
Appreciate
much for coming down.
Oh, man, I appreciate that. Always about supporting that.
It's good, dude. I think we've probably linked up more in the last 3 or 4 months than in the 5 years or so previous, man. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's great, man.
Nice.
What you got to do, man. It's where life takes you.
That's exactly right. Now, there is something I wanted to touch base with you about, longevity, time spent in the industry.
Yes.
And even, because you've been singing for fucking years. Walk us a little bit, for the people who don't know you or just fucking tuning in, give us a little bit of backstory about you, man. Fucking where you're coming from, when you started singing, what you're up to.
Oh, man. So I had my first performance in year 11 in high school. I mean, we did it. My guitarist, Matty, was one of my closest friends in high school, picked up guitar when he was 12, and he was always looking for a singer. One day we were jamming at his house. He's like, bro, you're good. I'm like, nah, not me, man. And then also I was scared of my brother and his friends at school about getting bullied for being, I grew up playing sport my whole life, so it's all, that's the man shit to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then if they ever saw me, they were 2 years older, so I waited for them to leave school.
Right.
So I can do my first performance, right, comfortably.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I stopped doing music. I went, after high school, I did 6 months at a singing school in Williamstown, because I'm like, I could probably get better. Did that, I don't like getting told what to do. Right, so I left that. Still, I was working at Target still. Worked as a career driver. I was about 21, 22 when I was driving, and I was just started singing over these beats in the car. And I was like, I could probably do this. So I set up a studio at home and started just working from there. Got my first gig at 24. Released my first single at 28, and here I am.
Here you are.
Here I am. Just
And
releasing,
even,
making tunes.
we've been crossing paths fucking more recently. We're down at Beyond the Valley.
Yeah, that was great.
So we're there. So you're playing some fucking dope fucking spots, man, and putting out some fucking awesome music.
Thank you, man. Well, yeah, we was with this band, Billy Davis, that I was in, that just kind of skyrocketed the festival scene for us. We played everything, man. So it was sick.
How was that?
That was mad.
Yeah?
Yeah, Golden Plains was by far the best.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Walk us through it. What made it good?
Well, we had the whole 11-piece on stage.
Fuck.
Right? We got so many boots in the air after the show, and there was probably about, I would say roughly around 9 to 13,000 people that came to watch us.
Boots.
Yeah, so what they do there is for their favourite act, they lift up their boots.
Right.
With their shoes, whatever they're wearing. So we saw a lot of boots come up.
That's
I was sick.
Fuck, that feeling must have been pretty fucking out of control.
Oh, it's so sick. And some of the guys in the band are they're like family to me. So sharing that with them is
Awesome.
exceptional.
What, do you think that's a crucial ingredient to performing well? Having people that you trust and...
Oh, man, yeah. Synergy on stage is next level stuff. Because after shows, because this is what I try to tell everybody, because I've been nurturing some young vocalists now, right? And I try to tell them, people, when they come to the performance, they don't necessarily care how well you sound, right? I'm not saying sing out of key and stuff, but what they do is they just want to experience an energy and a feeling that you go off stage. Now, if you have people on stage that are just as excited as you are, and you guys share this insane synergy on stage, they're going to feed off that. After every show, people are like, bro, that was so sick. You guys look like you had so much fun up there. And that's what you want people to rely on. That's, for me, the highest compliment after a show. Not, you sounded great. It's yeah, cool, thanks, man. You expect you to sound good. That's your profession,
Correct. Yeah.
If someone was like, I can't believe you sounded that good, I'd be like, oh, okay, well, that's a kind of like an insult.
Yeah. I think both you and I, in our bands as well, that's something that we've always focused on, is having a good time.
Definitely.
And that really translates. If you see a band on stage and you're watching them, they don't look like they're enjoying themselves, or they're kind of in their own world and they're not, vibing off everyone else, vibing off the crowd, vibing off the band, it kind of just feels awkward. And there's nothing that you can do with that as a crowd member.
Yeah.
You can't.
There's a time and place for those kind of performances. You want to put something intimate on, and you explain to the guest coming that this is going to be an intimate show. It's not like a big big stage performance.
I think even then, because you've set the context and expectation for the audience, you still get that energy. It's just a different energy.
Yeah, exactly right.
It's like, 100%. Even one fucking act that brings to mind, which I talked about in the podcast before, was Interpol at Falls last year. I was fucking stoked for him. Like, Interpol, this would be sick. Watched them, and I was just like, man, it honestly looked like no one in the band wanted to be there. Like, it looked like fucking he didn't want to know that dude, and he didn't want to talk to him. It was just the most sterile thing I've seen. And like, and you can feel it. Like, all music is energy. Like, you can feel that. And even getting back to your shows, like, I remember when I saw you at the Nightcat, and you guys fucking tore the roof down. Like, that place was bumping. But like, because you have heaps of different guys come up during the performance and chime in and out.
Yeah, that's the
and it's
beauty of
like, there's just so much going on visually and sonically. And you're right, like, you look at it and you're like, these guys are having so much fun doing what the fuck they were meant to do.
Yeah, and it's a shared responsibility on stage. Everybody gets their chance to show what they're worth.
Yep.
And they take it well.
Yep.
I like that.
And that's, my thing is, what I want to do for this year is, as weird as it sounds, I want to build my show around gimmicks, pretty much, because that's what people remember.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I've started playing guitar more on stage, and people were like, "Oh man, I can't believe you soloed like that." You know, and they want those little points to remember. Or like, I'll cut out all the music, and me and Maddie and like my keys boy, that's his name, keys boy.
Keys boy.
My keys boy would just strip back the chorus, do a completely a cappella, no instruments, and the crowd would respond to that. And that's when I was like, this is what they need.
Yep.
They need gimmicks. As like, as weird as that sounds.
No, I think you can play the songs. You can play the songs, and people will come and probably enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it won't necessarily be something that they can take away from the gig. And it's the gigs that you come away from going, I loved when they did that. I love when they did this.
Yeah.
Like, they had the crowd in the palm of their hand. That's something that you can take away.
Yeah, well, I've been to so many artists, like international artists that I like admire. I'd go to their show and then I'd leave going, I could have put headphones on,
Correct.
press play on Spotify and had the same experience. Whereas you go, like I went to see Childish Gambino and he that was crazy. I don't know if you guys watched that. That was sick. He was like, he walked out of the stadium and the camera, like you see it on the stage, and he was walking around, and then all of a sudden he walks out of like Marvel Arena, comes back into the stadium, and then you just see like door 25 and there he is like in the audience.
That's what Beastie Boys did.
Yeah, it was
in
sick,
Awesome,
man.
I fucking shot that.
Yeah.
And it's dope. Like, that sort of stuff. Like, I used to, even back when we were building live sets for DYE, like, I would have, there was about 3 or 4 live performances. One of them was Beastie Boys, Awesome, I fucking shot that. And even Beastie Boys live at Glasgow, like Mixmaster Mike's intro to that. But you just watch these things and you're like, man, like, this is fucking, you've got the crowd going,
spectacle.
oh, it's fucking, and then you'd be like, cool, why did this make me feel that way? How can I take some of that and incorporate it?
Do you know what? The other thing to that is it's inimitable. Inimitable, is that the right word?
I don't know.
You cannot imitate
You can't
it.
imitate?
Yeah, no.
You cannot imitate. Only that person or that group can do that. And you'll never see it anywhere else. And that's why it's disappointing when you go to a show and you're like, fuck, I love this band. They don't sound like anyone. And then they just play it the way they do. It's like, yeah, it was good. But like, I could have seen a cover band potentially do that.
Yeah.
And it's even like, when you're watching, you're like, dude, you guys could fuck up the song. Like, I said Blink, and like, technically they're fucking horrible. Terrible. But they don't try to be technically like, dude, we're here to fuck around. Like, we got songs about fucking jerking off, and shit's like, that's what you're going there for. And so, like, man, the energy, it's interesting to say that that's a conscious thing, that what you to pass down is that energy on stage. But when you say that, it's very obvious because, well, your performances are like that.
Yeah, that's what, I reckon that comes from just being match hardened. A lot of people, they kind of just blow up and then they get put on a stage and they're like, oh, fuck, what do I do?
Yeah.
I got no idea what to do here, right? Whereas, like, you see the guys who are more seasoned in the music industry, people that have, like, done the shitty gigs at the RSLs and where there is no fallback, for example. Because you can really tell when someone can't hear themselves on stage. Their face, like, their face shows everything. Right? Their face will be like, oh, and then they start freaking out and then the performance hinders because of that, you know?
And in the vice versa, you can tell when bands have been through it all, where they can't hear shit, shit is cut out. Because when something goes completely pear-shaped, which live it inevitably will at some point, and you can just watch the people who, it's like water off a duck's back. They just roll with it and like, oh man, like, it could have been worse.
It could definitely always be worse.
And even on that, so from that kind of going from 24 to where you are now, what's this one thing that we see with artists coming through is it's a short-term kind of mindset. Like there's all this, okay, I'm going to give myself 1 year or 2 year time frames with stuff. When, as we were talking about before we started recording, like we've both been doing this for 10 years plus, and we're still this, and in 10 years we'll still probably be doing something in the industry in some capacity. So having that, you know, for me, having that long-term mindset is something that's I think it's super important, because it just means you don't dwell on little losses when they come up, but also it just makes it a lot easier to be mentally healthy about things. Cause you're like, fuck, dude, we got 10 years. Like I'm still going to be doing this. I'm going to be the same person in 10 years. I'm just going to be better and fucking more educated.
Yeah. Well, you don't stop learning, and you act that relates into whatever you're doing. You know, you learn how to take things that from something else that you wouldn't necessarily think about when you first started, because everybody has this vision for themselves.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be this artist. And then 10 years later, you hear that music and go, oh, how come I didn't infuse this earlier? You know, like, so you just...
You're always growing.
You're constantly growing, and that's like key importance.
Hugely.
Like, everybody wants to make it big straight away, but the way I see it is, I see the music, your self-growth as steps, right? Now, if you're here, say everybody starts at their base level, you know, your base level can be here, someone else's base level is here. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's a gap. What it is that you still have to take a step at a time, right? So if this is my base level, right, my next level is here, 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 bang, until, okay, this is what I saw for myself, you know, whatever anyone's end goal is. Let's say, so that was 5 steps, right, to get to. Now, look at the difference, right? If I go up 1 step and then a second step, and then I can't reach that 3rd step, right? Sometimes it's very, very crucial to take that step down again, because you might have missed something. But if you go 1 to 5, the fall is much longer. So instead of being here and going down 1 step or 2 steps, you've fallen 5 again. And that's where people...
Yeah, that's a great way of explaining it, because I've said it before, like with artists, the quicker you get to the top, the quicker you'll fall. Like if you go from, you know, from absolutely nothing to huge overnight, you haven't learnt what goes into it. One, you also don't really appreciate it, but you're probably not going to be there in fucking 10 years.
It's not a quicker fall, it's a harder fall. Like, it hurts more. Because, like I said, there's no foundation for you to fall back on. You know? Like, everybody wants to skip the shitty steps, right? And the shitty steps are getting rejected, right?
Yeah.
Getting told that your song sucks, right? Getting told that you need to work on your vocals or your instrument, whatever you do.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to skip that and go, I just need to be told that I'm the best by a bunch of screaming teenagers, right? Who, you know, realistically know nothing, right?
Yeah. I think there's like a mindset thing there. It's like I think a lot of people don't actually think about it. They think about it, but they don't. They just see like this vision, and it's like you're missing all the ingredients. Like, you can't bake a cake without the ingredients. Like, that end goal, you have to have worked and learnt the little things, because you just cannot expect yourself to be that person that you want to be instantaneously. It cannot happen. You have to know the things that you don't know, and how you learn them is usually by fucking up.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, you need to get there knowingly that you can comfortably sustain yourself there. Because I'm not saying once you get there you stop learning.
No.
But you get there and you can comfortably adapt to anything thrown at you. And people think that it gets easier when you get up there. It really doesn't, man. Like, it gets harder.
It's all relative.
Tours become crazier.
Yep. There's more pressures. There's more
so much
external
more pressure.
pressures.
You got to be places. You got to act a certain way, behave a certain way.
Yep.
You kind of lose your identity when people say, like, you sell out. You don't sell out, man. You pretty much get told what to do, how to behave, because you're in a different level now.
Yep. And not only that, but even just from a business point of view, there is now other people relying on you.
There's expectations.
Other people getting paid. Like, there's real other factors here.
Yeah.
And even on that, there was 2 points you mentioned earlier, which I wanted to bring back to, which I thought was good that a lot of artists don't do. Which was one, straight off the bat, you're like, I went and got vocal lessons because I thought I could improve. Yeah. Like, the amount of artists who come through who don't even consider that is amazing. But so to go, cool, this is something I want to do. there's probably room to improve. Like that from a mindset perspective is fucking awesome.
It's like
and
expecting you can be a doctor without going to doctor school. Like,
Yeah.
And then you're like, and then so I set up a home studio. Like, it's like, cool, what would I have been reliant on someone else for? And how can I take some of that off that and put it so I'm responsible for this?
Yeah.
Like just those two things and a ongoing educational mindset of upskilling yourself. And cool, if I'm relying on someone else to do something to get to where I want to be, how do I take control of that in my life?
Yeah.
Like those two things, if you're constantly chipping away, fuck man, you're gonna get somewhere.
Well, yeah, I think us being in Australia, the positive of that is that we actually have nothing but time. Because everybody talks about, I need to get out of here. There's nothing good about Australian industry. I want to go to America or Europe and China and get big there. But it's like, oh, you get there and there's 1,001 people doing the same shit that you are, right? Whereas here, because we're so far away from everything, all you have is time to do, like to hone your skill, to hone your craft. And if you do that here, you go there as a ready product. Otherwise, you're just going there raw as you are here to a bigger city with a bigger population, going, notice me.
Yep.
Please notice me.
Yep, without even moral support of having family or friends in that city, but also that if you do end up in a position where someone takes notice of you and you're in LA and you've just moved there and this person's established with contacts and they find this person who's flown abroad with some talent who doesn't know anyone, like they're going to make sure they win out of this agreement. They're going to make sure that their lens that they see things through is going to come out through you, that you're going to play the role in their life that they need you to play.
Yeah.
Whereas 100%, if you get everything right yourself by going over there as a finished product, it just means you know what you want out of it. You're in a much better position to negotiate, whether it's contracts, deals, whatever the fuck it is. You're also going to be a lot wiser in terms of you're probably not going to get taken advantage of as quickly, as easily, as people who just go over there fresh.
Well, there's a certain arrogance between that comment of know your worth. Once you're confident in your own worth, you don't actually have to act like are you trying to lowball me, man? Do you know who I am?
Yep.
Right? Because that's what initially it comes down to, right? When you've worked on yourself that much, when you've become the artist that you love, you go to these sessions going, excuse me, actually, I don't agree with this, right? I'm not saying that we can't negotiate. I'm saying,
Yep.
You got to just...
and you can smell the bullshit.
Yeah, you can protect yourself easier in this situation when you know yourself as an artist. And that only comes from time. You putting in the work. The longevity of it all is you... Because all you're doing with that is you're honing your own craft as a human, not as an artist. It's like you got to take yourself as a business, right? You got to, like nobody... You start a business, right? You got to do the foundation work for it. Artistry, being an artist is no different than being a business owner.
100%.
Yeah. You got to do everything yourself until you get to a point where you're comfortable to sell yourself.
Yep. In fact, it could even, because 100% it is a business. At the end of the day, if you do want to live off it, there has to be money in some capacity. It is a business. And I think the counterpoint of that, it's artists don't go into it thinking it's a business. So that can almost be a double-edged sword. In fact, they're going into a business owner role as an artist with no intention of going into business. Yeah. That can be dangerous because all of a sudden you're now not aware of your blind side.
Well, none of them have dealt with, or majority of them haven't, independent release is different, right? Once you start dealing with a business entity as a label, then you got to start going, oh, actually, I don't know anything about this. Because that's always the same, man. Everyone's like that. I was like, oh, man, cool, I'm the boss, I do what I want and I'll release what I want, until you're playing with other people that actually are funding your thing. And it's like, excuse me, can I borrow that money? I'll play by your rules,
And not only that, but interests change over time. And that's completely fine. In 2011, I wanted to be an artist, the performer. I wanted to be a DJ. It's only going through this fucking journey and that personal development and trying shit that you didn't do before. And it's like, fuck, I actually really enjoyed the back end of the industry. I love running the business side of it. I love engaging in artists in this capacity. Yes. I wouldn't have known that if you didn't go, I didn't know that 10 years ago. So things change. You never know what roles you're going to end up in. And I think especially early on, I know I didn't anyway, I just didn't know what roles existed. I didn't know what roles...
You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's like, it's like when you're starting a new job and there's all these different people that do all these different tasks that you've never heard of before, and everyone plays their different part in it, and you have to figure out what your part is. And at the start, when you don't know anything, you're relying on other people to teach you and train you and allow you to improve by guidance and just self-improvement. But for some reason, the musician mind doesn't think of it like that. And really, you have to be able to rely on other people. So what does that mean? That means surrounding yourself with people that know what the fuck they're doing, and listening to them and learning from them. Because if you think that you're the person that can control your destiny without relying on anyone else,
well, it's about not being scared.
Be really hard as well.
You can't be scared to accept that somebody knows more than you.
Yeah.
You know, like when you start, I tell all my the younger cats, I'll be like, hey man, it's okay to not be where you think you are. Like, you showing me this song, and if I'm picking it apart, it's just because I'm trying to help you with it. Because I made the same mistakes, but I had nobody to pick it. So you walk around thinking this is the best work you've done, and you become sensitive to your product. And anytime you hear a negative comment, you're like, well, Whereas if you learn to go, you know what, I like this, but I'm gonna pick, for the next project that I make, I'll take the good parts of that. And then the next project, you take the good parts, both of those, and the 3 parts and 4 parts until you're like, fuck, I can't believe I used to think this was a good progress.
track. Yeah.
When you can listen back to your old tracks and go, I can't believe I used to think this was good, you know you've moved forward.
You're moving, 100%.
Well forward.
And even that, exactly what you're saying, by looking after the younger cats and mentoring these dudes coming up, that's a big thing that, for me, I didn't have anyone like that early on. And then I remember it was the day before Christmas. And I asked my old man, I was like, what's a mentor? And he's kind of explaining, this is what a fucking mentor does, this is their role. And then literally about fucking 3 or 4 days later, I saw Jack the Bear put up a post online saying he's looking for some people to mentor. Yeah. And I was like, fuck, well, this is fucking... So I dropped him an email, and fucking sure enough, he's like, yeah, man, let's fucking roll. And then he's mentored me for the last 3 or 4 years. But just having someone like that, having a mentor that's gone through it before, it's like, fuck, man, there's just so much to learn. And if you can hang out and fucking talk with someone who's done it before, even if they're 3 or 4 years ahead of you, in an industry where you want to be, you're just going to improve. It's like, why the fuck do you think an apprentice carpenter has to work with a carpenter?
Yeah, it's a safe haven, man, because their questions don't sound dumb. The scary part of asking a question is, getting perceived that you don't know, and really what you want to be like, I actually don't know. Help me. Right, and that's the safe haven there. That's what we like. Mentoring is a safe place.
And I'd even flip it around. I'd say people that are, I'd call it mentally mature. Yeah. If you're around someone, usually you can tell when they don't know something, or you can usually be like, okay, they're a little uneasy. If their first reaction is to kind of bullshit and pull the wool over your eyes, you're like, okay, this guy's got to learn. But if they're open, they're like, fuck, dude, hold on, I don't know that. I know I've got a lot more respect for them. Because I'm like, fuck, cool. I know I can openly talk and teach, and if there's something that they don't know, they're going to bring it up.
Well, I think then the opposite to that, if that person does instantly go to bullshit and things like that, well, then you need to be able to teach them a different aspect. It's like you need to be able to teach them how to not bullshit and how to be aware of their own insecurities and open up and be able to say, I don't know what I'm talking about here. Then it's a different conversation.
Which is complete, no one knows everything.
Yeah, exactly.
It's, I think it's when you see people out who are so open and okay with the fact that they don't know shit and they're here to learn and they just absorb the stuff you say. It's like, fuck, that gets me going because I'm like, cool, I've got so much stuff I can teach this guy.
It's also easier. There's no barriers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're opening up a two-way conversation rather than it being you trying to convince someone of something. It's like, I don't need that. I don't need you to convince me. The actions speak louder than words. Let's just have a conversation and try and figure out what you actually want. I think there was something else that you were saying, how when you learn from all of the things that you've done in the past and you take little parts from, for example, songs, you take one piece. I also like looking back on the things from 5 years ago and being like, I know what I wanted at that stage, but I just didn't know how to get it. And I like that awareness piece of looking back and reflecting on your past and being like, what was I missing at that stage? Because then you can kind of go, there's other people that are missing that thing as well. And that's another way that you can teach them, because you'll see the commonalities between different people. They'll have that same blind spot. For example, for me with mixing, it's like I didn't know how to use a compressor, and then eventually I learned how to use compressor, and I still didn't know, and then I still kept learning, and I'm still learning now, and different compressors do different things and stuff like that. But everyone has those blind spots, and the same with writing music. You don't know the theory until you learn it, and you don't know how to use your voice properly until you learn how to do it. So it's like, be open to that learning.
Yeah, but there's also like, everybody is different. One thing my singing teacher told me, she's like, it's like, you're just going to get better by singing. And at the time I was like, what am I giving you money for? Like, why am I, but then I started gigging, and you realise that, the same methods don't work on everybody.
Absolutely.
It's the same as school, right?
Yeah.
I can't learn maths the same way, young lad next to me can learn it, It's the same as music and any instrument that you do or anything,
Yep.
Just because there's a formula for it, that it's a universal formula, doesn't mean you have to use that formula.
Yeah.
Again, it's everybody's brain works differently.
Yeah,
It's whatever
for
you
sure.
understand, and you take that, and then you take from another place.
And that requires listening as well.
Oh, exactly right.
Yeah, because if you're trying to tell someone and they're not understanding, and you keep trying to tell them it the same way, then it's not going in. They're just going to not... You don't have that understanding of that person, really, because you're not listening to them. You're not really listening to them.
Well, Maddie, my guitarist, when I left high school, my dad was like, okay, if you're going to make music proper, you will get lessons, and Matthew will teach you a theory. And I've never been a theory guy. I don't understand nothing. Or I look at it and it looks like Japanese to me. But I can, play a piano and a guitar and it'll be fine. But Maddie would teach me the same page week in, week out, and I'd forget it by the end of, the session's done. He's like, you got it? Yeah. Couldn't retain it. Then when we started playing gigs, obviously, the singer's on a higher stool. I'm looking down at Maddie every time he's soloing, every time he's setting up a loop, and I'm looking at the shapes that he's making on the gat, right? The little melodies that he's playing. I can't shred, but in every shred that a guitarist does or a keys player does, there's a melody in there, right? That starts it. It's a combination, a couple of notes that really, were nice to my ear. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go buy a guitar. Got a guitar, and I was like, okay, Maddie did this shape. And then I'd play it and go, no, that sucks. And then I'd move my finger up and go, oh, and then I'd be like, Maddie, what's this? He goes, how'd you learn that? I'm like, that's like an A minor. And I'm like, oh, cool, okay. So then, visually I remembered the shapes. Then you train your ear that way, right? So sonically you hear what works, what doesn't.
Yep.
Right? And then when it comes to soloing, I'm a singer, so I'm lucky. My head's full of melodies, right? Just translating those melodies in the simplest form on the guitar or on the piano, and then all of a sudden that's another way. It's like growth, man.
100%. Interesting that you said it that way, because it's kind of the backwards way of learning. Because it's kind of like learning in the actually doing it, and then why did we do this? Which is exactly how I learned in production. Like, I didn't know anything about fucking music when I started, nothing, but you'd be like, okay, cool, this sounds good, so fuck, we're doing that. And then it was 4 or 5 years later, by going back to fucking school and studying production, they teach you shit like what happens in the actual physics of fucking sound, and then you're like, oh, that's why I did that.
That's why I liked that.
That's why that. Yeah. And then it's funny, because I was very similar in that way, but I also think if I'd tried to do it the reverse, if I'd gone to school to learn production, like I wouldn't have not learnt it, but two, you'd get stuck in the wrong shit, because you'd be trying to tick boxes that don't really, at the end of the day, what it sounds like is what matters.
Yeah.
Well, you got to find what works for you, because that's what's going to push you forward. If I was doing theory, I would have quit music 100% guaranteed, because it's like you speak to any swimmer, like child swimmer now, they'll be like, I'm scared of a swimming pool. I don't want to go in there, because they're doing 500 laps a morning, right? And they're like, I don't want to swim anymore, because it's just etched. That kind of shit's just etched young, and it's not good. And I'm not saying that, like, if it works for you, mad, do it.
Yep.
I actually tell everybody that if you can learn theory first, do it. But if you can't, don't feel like you're behind. Because there's other ways to get around that, because eventually you're gonna learn it. All right, like you'll understand. Like, see, I'll tell people like, oh yeah, you're playing like a G minor 7, blah blah blah. Like, yeah, but how do you know? And I'm like, I just kind of know, because now I can hear the notes. And I've played enough to be like, oh yeah, cool. And the translating notes on piano is much easier than a gap. Like, I still don't understand guitar, whereas piano just, C, D, E,
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, cool.
But there's always patterns, though.
What was your journey through it? Because you're fucking fairly handy in the theory side on multiple instruments.
Well, my first instrument was a guitar when I was in like grade 1 or something. I think I learnt on the primary school acoustics for, I think, like 1 term or 2 terms. Couldn't remember any of it. Then I started playing piano and keyboard, and I did that for 3 years, from grade 3 through to grade 5. And then, so I learnt a lot of theory. I learnt like how to hold your hands, how to like keep your fingers as close to the piano as you can. Like, less movement is better. All that sort of stuff that gets in your mind that you don't necessarily think about if you teach yourself. Mm-hmm. So that was cool. And then, but then I started drumming when I was 10, and that was it. That was it for me. It was just drums. And
that
then
was proper drum lessons, not
proper
like
drum lessons.
Teaching yourself.
Yep. Every week, half an hour drum lesson. And then when I finished primary school, I stayed with my drum teacher that I had in primary school, and we were going to Brighton to do hour-long drum lessons like once a week. And I did that up until I was 16. But I picked up guitar as well, self-taught myself when I was about 13 or 14. It just came easy to me. I don't know why. It just did. And then I got lessons at the same time as drums at the same place, only for 6 months. And the guitar teacher didn't know how to teach me. He said to me, I really don't know what I can do as a teacher for you, because you already understand all of the concepts. All you need to do is just practice. Yeah. So I was like, sweet, I won't do guitar anymore. And then I just kept playing. I would just, like, when I was a teenager, I would just lie in my bed, just play along to music, and that was how I learnt. But then I guess theory-wise, because I was always good at maths as well, so I always figured out the patterns. Drumming was rhythmically good. I think with theory, it's just like you learn what works together and why it works together. Okay, this is major. In the major key, you can change that chord to a 7 and it'll sound good, or you can make that one minor. And I think you just learn over time. So that's kind of how I did it. But yeah.
Cool. Interesting. And I was talking with Matty. Actually, this was, I think, probably after I'd met you like once, maybe.
Yeah.
I was talking with Matty, and he's
I couldn't
like,
tell you when we first met. It would have been at a gig when DYE was playing. Because I don't think I met you before then.
Yeah, no, it probably would have been. And he was like, yeah, those two, we used to play in a fucking band together. And he's like, yeah, the dude just fucking played drums, got fucking awesome, and just clocked drums. Then he picked up guitar and locked himself in his room for like a couple of months, and then just clocked guitar. He's like, the dude just fucking gets it.
Yeah.
And there are some people that like it.
Just makes sense.
It just makes sense.
Mm.
Yeah, well, they've worked it out in their brain how to make sense for them.
Correct.
Yeah.
You do that and you can pick up anything.
Figure out sports. So everyone has their abilities and natural talents, and it's how you choose to foster it yourself. You allow other people to teach you, but at the end of the day, it's got to be you who wants to work hard at it and get better at it. And that's like you with business. Like you said, 10 years ago, you didn't know shit about business, and now you own this place and it's fucking kicking goals. So it's like you actually choose what you want to work hard at, and you should listen to yourself when you have that voice that tells you, I want to keep doing that. Fucking do it.
Yeah, and that voice comes at the weirdest time.
Yeah.
So that's why you get stuck and confused sometimes.
Yeah.
Look, I still haven't finished this.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no, it doesn't matter. Go.
Yeah.
And there is something about the, like a creative's mind. We get this fucking shiny object syndrome. It's like, fuck this and this, because it just triggers all these ideas. Yeah. Like even with you, I'd imagine when you're building a live set and you're like, cool, I want some of the little points of difference in it. So we've got a guitar, let's have sections when the instrumentation drops out. All this, that just sparks shit and you'll just start going. Yeah. And even on that, there is another fucking skill of yours that I'd like to touch on, which is your fucking FIFA abilities. And so we were down at
that's longevity at its finest, mate. I played some kid the other day, right? He was like 16 or 17, right? He was my brother's wife's cousin. I love this little kid, right? He's like, oh, I'll rip you, man. I'm better than you. I'm like, how long you been alive for? He goes, 16 years. Like, I've played FIFA for 17. I've played more FIFA than you've been alive. I will smoke you, young lad.
And he was so down at fucking Beyond the Valley, they had a Twitch channel set up there.
Yeah.
So all the artists could come through, they'd fucking stream it on Twitch. And it was on the front, like every time they streamed, it was on the front page of Twitch for it. So it was fucking sick.
Yeah.
Fucking Blush'ko comes through and just schooling.
Demolishes everyone.
It was like 8-0, I think. 8 or 9-0.
And I believe one of the comment
good
was,
feeling.
the comment back to the guys, and it's like, look, if you get anyone who's actually good coming through, like, come find me for a challenger. There wouldn't have been anyone who could beat you.
I
Just pause that.
Me with FIFA is just, I love soccer. I grew up my whole life playing the sport.
Yeah.
And then when I, like, you know, in my downtime, I'd play PlayStation all the time as a kid. And then started with this game called Actual Soccer.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
It was on PS1.
Sega? Oh, PS1.
PS1, it was horrible.
Yeah.
But you just do that and you're like, sick.
Yeah.
I'm going to get real good at this real quickly.
Yeah.
And then I tell people, I'm like, man, stop playing FIFA like it's a fucking... it's a real soccer game. Find the glitches and expose those glitches.
Yeah.
You will win every time.
I think it was FIFA 09 or FIFA 10.
You could score from halfway?
Yeah, you could score from halfway.
Yeah, Matty,
And
my
the other
guitarist,
one-
would do that.
Yeah, that was sick. You'd always go on like the left wing.
Yeah,
And
then
just after halfway, you'd kick in and it would curve in.
Yeah, it would curve in
But
every
the
time.
other one was, I think it must have been even earlier. It might have even been Nintendo, where you could trip the goalie and then you could just steal the ball off him and kick
Yeah,
it
that
in.
was 98, man. Well, that's well ages.
True, yeah.
That was FIFA 98 where you could trip the keeper and then just
that's
take the
fucking
ball.
Awesome.
Only soccer game I had was the World Cup. I think it was 2002 World Cup.
That's
the only
that's one of the best FIFAs ever. When you'd shoot with like a star player, the ball would light up on fire. So I miss that kind of
It
shit.
reminds me of fucking Wayne Gretzky.
We've
hockey
got
on
a
the fucking
PS2
Nintendo
here.
64.
I'll bring it in one time. You can fucking... We'll get some guys to come through.
We'll get some. No, because my thing is, back in the day, I used to be a full nut. You know, like if I lose, I'd lock myself in a room and go, how do I lose? Right now, I'm like, cool. I've done enough. Like I've beat most people in Melbourne that have offered a challenge. Right?
And that is no word of a lie either.
Yeah. But yeah, that, you know what? It's funny because that also translates to, like, my dad used to say, man, you've got blisters on your fucking thumbs. That's how he knew I was playing instead of studying. He's like, let me see your thumb. And then I was like, fuck, well, you know, that's that thumb. This is a warrior's thumb. This is Street Fighter and FIFA. Just mashing.
That's fucking awesome.
But yeah, it's, anything you do, mate, just make sure you keep doing it. That's there's no secret to it.
No.
It's an open secret. When people go, how do you get it?
There's no way.
Yeah, if you take shortcuts, you'll fucking find your way back to the start real quickly.
Correct.
But unfortunately, that's the one thing that people always look for a shortcut for. Like, at the end of the day, it's fucking hard work, consistency, and patience. Like,
yeah, well, I'm a firm believer of everybody's timing is completely different. You know, like, and you can't be salty if somebody gets there ahead of you.
100%.
You know? Yeah, it's
Nice.
tough.
Even on that, what do you got coming up? Give us a quick rundown of fucking what's in the next 2-3 months for you.
Oh,
You're
man.
always cooking up something.
Oh, yeah, I'm finally releasing this song, Al Capone.
Ah, sweet.
It's come. I just signed it to this label in Germany.
Dope.
All right, Lecker. Thank you for that.
Nice.
They're going to put that out. They've actually got the contracts in today.
Awesome.
So as soon as that gets mixed and mastered, I will get that. Like they'll need like 8 weeks to do the PR for it.
Yep.
So that will come out probably March. I've got 2 features coming out though. One in Feb now with this guy. This guy hit me up from New York, right? Just a random guy, just makes beats from his little apartment studio, and he sent me. It was like such a lo-fi little beat, and I think I was just in that mood that night. So I put this whole melody down for it. And he's like, fuck, this is sick. And then I was like, cool. And I hadn't heard back. And then he's like, hey, it's coming out as first single. I was like, mad. This label picked it up in New York, so that's going to come out in Feb, I think.
Dope.
And then I'm working with this guy, London Topaz, who's an up-and-coming like DJ, producer, real gun. We played with him at Beyond the Valley. I've been helping him write his EP.
Nice.
And that's coming out, I think, in March as well, one of the new track that we did. And then I was away last week. I do this writing camp with my mates. A friend of mine's got a house up in Portsea, so we go there for a week Everyone brings their stuff. We set up in our own little rooms.
Sick.
Which that's something I'll recommend to anybody. Don't worry about like writing camps from like labels, you know. Just go with your mates to a house because that's automatic feedback.
Yep.
You know, most times when you write stuff, you second guess everything that you do. This is like, hey boys, can you just come quickly check this out?
Yep.
And you'll look, seeing people's reactions is that's the tell.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the tell. That's all you need to see.
100%.
You know, because they'll be like, oh, I really like that. You know, you just look at their faces and you'll be like, they didn't respond the way you wanted it, right? Get rid of that shit.
Yep.
So we did that, right? And then on the way up, everybody, all these girls that are like that I'm friends with, are like, oh my God, have you heard Travis Scott? It's Travis Scott. I'm like, who the fuck is Travis Scott? Right, so I'm like, smashed him up and I'm like, bro, this guy's just taken emo punk and slapped 808s over it. Right? Which is sick. Yeah. So I'm like, fuck it. So I get to the Haven. We call it the Haven.
The Haven,
right?
nice.
The safe haven, mate. We get to the Haven. My mate Caleb's there. I'm like, hey, give us your gap. And then I just start playing this riff, this like sick little rocky riff, but like a bit lush. Slapped the sickest beat on it. 6 days later, I got a 9-track EP full of trap bangers.
Wow, right? So sick.
Full trap, right? I haven't used auto-tune in about 15 years, I think. Every single vocal is auto-tuned. Right? Because I'm all about the lush, you know, R&B sexy vocal. Now I'm just like, fuck it. It adds to the element of the genre. I'll use it, right?
Whatever serves the song.
I've never liked an EP more, right? So what I think I want to do is after Al Capone, because my initial plan was Al Capone, then 3 other standalone singles that I've got just to keep those rolling. Because I've done 2 EPs and they've done really well. Like I just found out my track last night just hit 800K.
Sick.
Which is on its way to 1 million, which is really good.
Congrats.
Yeah, nice
Thank
work.
you. And it's just getting attention from the right people. I noticed Instagram, like a lot of Instagrammer girls have been using my tracks on their stories and stuff.
Nice.
I went from like, in this month, I think it was like 45,000 monthly listeners to 81.
Fuck.
You know,
doubled it.
It's doubled it in a month, and you're like, wow, like the power of
the internet
that
works.
shit. It works. When it works, it works.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so then I think the special thing about this trap EP that I've done now is that it's just extra content for me.
Yeah.
My thing is, one thing I want to about what I did when I first started, right, was I used to make, when I got my studio, I knew the songs were crap. I'd make a song a night and upload it on SoundCloud just for a week, delete it, next week put a new song on. But what that did was that, because what that does is it gives your audience that are paying attention, that might be 5 people, that might be 5,000, might be 50,000, whatever it is, right? It gives those people an understanding of what kind of artist you're trying to become, right? And everybody wants to be a part of a journey. As an audience member, don't want to be like, man, I was there when he was dropping that shit, right? How many times you say it? Like when someone tells you an artist, you're like, man, I listened to that guy like 2 months ago. You're way off, and there's that sense of like, I'm better than you, right? So people want to release their best work, but then, like, if that's your best work, right? People are missing your
story.
They're missing what you've worked to get there.
Yeah,
they're like, oh, this is sick, bro. But it's like if you show people where you're at. When you're there, that's how you actually gain fans as well, because they're like, fuck, man.
People love seeing how you progress and get better.
I get it all the time. Like, man, I can't believe when I saw you at that bar like 5 years ago, how much you've changed and what you're doing now, right? And that's super important for your growth as an artist, right? Because also, like, because I do a ton of cover gigs, right? I did like 300 last year.
Fuck.
Right? But people don't go, oh, there's Blush'ko, the cover guy. They're like, bro, have you heard his original shit?
Yeah.
So it's very easy to pocket yourself as a cover artist, and then you stay there. And the cash is great, right? Especially when you're doing a bunch of corporates. But you want to eventually break out from that and be the original guy. But if you keep doing covers online and keep only release covers and do covers and only promote your cover stuff, when you release an original, people are like, I don't like this as well as he does his covers. So you got to find that balance too. Right? So, because covers is what we'll get. Like now I do my little covers on Instagram, but that's because I've got a bunch of music out. I've already established myself as an artist. Now it's like just giving back a little bit because I can't release a song a week anymore. You know? So
I think the other thing is you're always, like, you just doubled your fan base on Spotify. Those people haven't heard you before they heard you.
Yeah.
So you never know what the first song that they're going to hear is.
Well, exactly right. And then they go back.
Yep.
I always say, just put it out, because I tell my mates, I'm like, who cares if it gets fucking 500
exactly.
views?
Doesn't matter.
Because when you get that one song that resonates with the mass,
Correct.
guess what? They're not going to go, oh, like if you have that one track only, they're going to be like, fucking, I got to wait, yeah? They'll be like, oh my God, look at this fucking catalogue of shit that he's got here, and that's got him for the rest of the year.
If they love you, then
they will love you.
They will love you.
I've noticed that at my shows, man. Like I'll see the same people at the front, you know.
That's awesome.
And like I love that, because I'm like, man, like I have so much respect for you. Like you've seen the same show 9 times. You poor human.
They don't think that though.
But they love it, and that's because they literally follow you, man. That's what you want. And my friend said the best thing. He goes, bro, you know when I started noticing your change, when at your gigs it wasn't friends and family, it was fans.
Yeah.
Because I can feel out fucking. Everyone can fill out a stadium.
But with you, just with relatives.
With relatives, exactly. Yeah, my European rail fly, I'm all over, man. Well, no, but everyone can do that and be like, oh, man, I sold out 300, but it was like, because just because someone's your friend doesn't mean they're your fan, doesn't mean they'll appreciate what you're doing, but they don't, that like doesn't mean they like your music.
It's inflated numbers.
Yeah, that's all it is. So you got, once you start, you know, getting fans at your shows and shit, you're on a good path.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
And that only comes from you giving them what they want, and that is like your growth as an artist.
And then it's a different form of word of mouth.
Oh, yeah.
A fan's word of mouth as opposed to a friend's or family member's word of mouth.
Trust me, my son is the best. You have to come to his show. Yep. Whereas, bro, like, you know, I see
hear this. Like,
I see it all the time, right? Like, I'll get stopped on the road. Like, and it's like, oh, you're Blush'ko, yeah? Well, Blush'ko now, you know. Thanks, Sarah. I have to throw that in there. No, I'm like, hey, you're Blush'ko, right? I love your stuff. And then from that chick or that guy coming up to me, people close to me like, oh, you're an artist, man. What's your stuff? Let me follow you. Yeah. And all of a sudden, you're this topic of interest.
100%.
And you're like, mad.
Sick.
Whereas if my mum, when I'm at the hospital,
oh,
you should listen to my son's tracks. They're on Spotify.
Yeah, they're like...
And they're like, again.
Yeah. And even that, like, because you never know where the next fan's going to come from.
Yeah.
I remember one time I was sitting in traffic, this was ages ago. I was sitting in fucking bumper-to-bumper traffic, and I used to always have heaps of fucking DIY mixtapes in the car, just in case where we were, and stickers and shit. There was this kid who looked about fucking 10 or 12 years old sitting at the bus stop on the other side of the road with a skateboard. I was like, fuck, this dude skates, what a sick cunt.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm like, I call out, I'm like, hey man, here. And I frisbee over like a DYE mixtape to him. And he like picks up, he looks at it, and he turns around his board and he's got a DYE sticker on the board.
Sick.
And I'm like, and like he's gonna tell his buddy that story, and then these natural things happen.
Yeah.
But that's why I always say you need time for your fans as well. Because they're the ones that are gonna like. You might forget that moment, but for them, they're gonna be like, look, Del Piero, famous soccer player, right? He's like, I'll always stop to take a photo with a fan, because for me, it's a moment. For them, it's a lifetime, right? And that's what you want to give these fans. You want to give them a lifetime moment that they can talk about.
100%.
And being active on social media is massive for that. Like replying to every message.
Yep, makes such a big difference.
You'll miss it. Obviously, the bigger it gets, you'll miss a few. But make a conscious effort to constantly be active with your fans.
Yep.
Because they're the ones that will they're the ones funding you.
They make it all
your
possible.
business, man.
100%.
Without them, you're just a bedroom guy.
Yep. Even on that, we could fucking probably talk all day, my man. But I know you have a session to get to.
I do.
So where can everyone find you? Listen out here. Following Insta, Facebook. What's your
everything is Blush'ko Kick It. I've created a whole brand on how lazy I am. Right, my house is called the Lazy House. Everything is about kicking back, right? So Blush'ko Kick It, ET. Blush'ko Kick It. Right?
Nice.
That's all the handles.
Perfect.
Instagram. And then Spotify, just Blush'ko. You can't miss it, man. No one else has that name.
Done.
Nice.
My man, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you, boys, so much. It was fun.
You, man.
It was an absolute pleasure, dude.
Good chat.
Yeah, with a bunch of gems.
Be well.
Keep it up, fellas.
All right, thank you guys.
Peace.